The news day continues here on One News Now. I'm Riza Diaz. It has been 2 weeks since the deadline of the filing of certificates of candidacy, but supporters of Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte are still hoping she will change her mind and run for president. Ryan Ang is giving us details live from Manila. Hi, Ryan. Good afternoon.
Isa, supporters of Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte held a busina ng pagkakaisa motorcade this morning to convince the presidential daughter to run for the country's chief executive post. They say she could still make it as the poll body allows the substitution of candidates until November 15. More than 2,000 people from different organizations and recruitment agencies showed their support in the Saturday caravan as they converge in Harbor Square, Pasay City. The group said they believe the Davao mayor is the most qualified to continue the legacy of her father, President Rodrigo Duterte. The motorcade started along Rojas Boulevard. It passed by Manila City Hall and went to Monumento Caloocan, stretch of Gobe, EDSA going to Makati before arriving back in Pasay City. Organizers said that they secured permits from the MMDA and Highway Patrol groups. They also assured that attendees observed safety protocols. The Sara's lookalike, who was present during the last day of COC filing, also joined the activity. RISA supporters of Vice President Leni Robredo and Senator Kiko Pangilinan also held a nationwide motorcade to show their support for the tandem. The simultaneous motorcade covers 49 cities from across the country, including Cebu, Dagupan, Baguio, Iloilo, and Angeles. RISA.
Thank you for that update. That's Ryan Ang reporting from Manila. Long-term COVID immunity. John Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health professor and virologist Andrew Pikosh discusses global vaccine distribution issues and the need for a broader availability of booster shots. Let's watch this.
The mystery that I have, Dr. Pekos, right now is the ability to take mRNA as a sophisticated and successful vaccine to poorer countries. I believe you've told me you're optimistic we can do that. Discuss that. Why aren't we taking things that work and distributing them abroad?
Well, right now there's capacity, which is increasing almost on a weekly basis. So we don't really have the limitations anymore in terms of we have to make decisions about who to prioritize in terms of countries. We have enough of that vaccine to go around. It really is a distribution issue right now, and it really falls into a little bit more of the economic ring, where you have to decide who's paying for these vaccines and how to distribute them and get them to the places that's most needed. We have a surplus here in the U.S. Anybody can walk in and without waiting get a vaccine. Other countries are still waiting to get any amount to really move things forward.
How much does each vaccine cost? I mean, I don't mean country by country, but just I have no idea what it costs to get my booster shot the other day.
And no one does, and that's one of the things that is an advantage to us here in the U.S. and in many other countries. But, anywhere from $25 to $40 for a vaccine dose is what is probably needed to get that distributed, and who's bearing that cost is going to be important. Some of the countries and areas of Africa, some portions of Southeast Asia, aren't really getting access to those because they're not competing well right now with some of the more economically forward countries who are able to afford those kind of prices for the vaccines.
Doctor, these are huge issues, and at home here in America we've got to decide whether we need a booster shot or not. Now, I'm happy to say I'm a good boy. I do as I'm told. I'm fully vaccinated. You tell me to get a booster, I'll get one. One thing I'm trying to work out is how well protected I am right now. Fully vaccinated, sir, about 5-6 months ago. Doctor, how well protected am I at the moment? Do we even know the answer to that?
We do. But it's also a graded answer. If you're talking about severe disease and hospitalization, you're probably very well protected because there's been a remarkable consistency in terms of protection of the vaccine in individuals between the ages of 18 and 65 who are healthy and don't have any medical conditions that predispose you to COVID-19. And that's why that population hasn't been targeted for boosters, because honestly, it's not needed right now. The efficacy is there and it's holding well.
Yeah.
I think what we'll be seeing in the next couple months is there will be talk of boosters in a more broad sense, but that's because we're going to be moving from the initial strategy, which was to get as many people vaccinated and get as high an immunity as possible. We're going to be switching from that strategy to what is it going to take for us to have long-term immunity for 2-3 years, so that we don't have to worry about taking COVID-19 shots every 6 months or every year. So that's going to be the transition for most individuals.
The Energy Department clarifies it is not involved with the establishment of the independent electricity market operator of the Philippines. Energy Assistant Secretary Gerardo Erguisa stressed that the Department of Energy only issued a policy framework on how the IEMOP will be created. The clarification comes after presidential aspirant Senator Manny Pacquiao questioned DOE in a Senate hearing yesterday for allowing the IMOP to manage the wholesale electricity spot market despite having a small capital. Pacquiao also alleged the firm did not meet the requirements, but Erguisa claimed the circular has laid down the parameters, which include that the firm should be a private entity and a non-stock, a non-profit organization or corporation. IMOP does, in fact, meet the said requirements. Erguisa explained that IMOP also does not need a big capital because its functions, assets, and liabilities will be transferred from the Philippine Electricity Market Corporation.
What the Department of Energy in the process is came out with the policy framework, how the independent market operator will come into existence. So it started as a corporation with small capitalization. But you don't need huge capitalization here because by operation of law, the functions, assets, and liabilities will be transferred.
We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Riza Diaz. Davao City is implementing a 2-week closure on cemeteries and columbariums in the area to avoid another surge in COVID-19 cases. To tell us more, we have Jem Avancenia reporting to us live this time from Davao City. Jem, good afternoon. When will this take effect?
Riza, all cemeteries here in Davao City will be closed starting tomorrow until November 7 for this year's Undas season. Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte said this is to avoid crowds that may cause COVID-19 transmission. However, those who will have burial rites and commemoration of death anniversaries will be exempted but limited to their close family members only. More Davaoenos are visiting their deceased loved ones in Wireless Cemetery compared to yesterday. Health protocols are strictly implemented here. Visitors should wear face masks and social distancing should always be observed. Aside from the cemetery security and police, military personnel are also deployed in different cemeteries across Davao City. Meanwhile, President Rodrigo Duterte is expected to visit his parents' tomb here in the cemetery after the 2-week closure just like last year. Riza, the number of COVID-19 cases here in Davao City continues to decline with only 3,190 active cases as of yesterday. However, health authorities remind the public not to put their guards down to avoid another spike in cases. Riza?
Thank you. That's Jem Avancenia reporting live from Davao City. The Philippines now has an ice princess. Meet record-breaking figure skater Sophia Frank in this report by Gretchen Ho.
graceful and yet filled with emotions. The country's ice princess Sofia Frank may be young at 16, but she has already carved a spot in Philippine figure skating history. She recently eclipsed records in the 2021 Challenger Series Finlandia Trophy with 53.33 score in the short program and a 94.79 in the free skate for a total of 148.09. She finished 18th overall, impressive for someone who just had her second international competition.
I actually didn't even know I broke any records until after I skated. But I was very surprised because, they weren't my greatest skate.
Sofia learned the sport at age 3 thanks to her parents. Sofia's father, Noah, was a hockey coach, while her mom, Precious Tongko, was a former Binibining Pilipinas Maha in the 90s. A perfect combination for a sport where skill and artistry are judged.
But it was mostly like both of my parents who really got us into skating. They're very similar in a way. Like being judged by judges and, presenting yourself and, obviously like the dresses and everything.
Sofia grew up in the United States, but she says she's proud to represent her Pinoy roots.
I think really just making the Philippines proud and, having that opportunity to be representing the Philippines is really it's an honor.
She now sets her sights on the next Winter Olympics, even after failing to make the cut in the 2022 Games. Supporters even made a GoFundMe to help her with her training expenses.
For the next 4 years, I'm just really going to try to, focus on being more consistent. I think with the more experience and exposure I have, competing internationally, I think the better I'll get.
Gretchen Ho, We Are One News.
Now here's a quick look at some of today's headlines. Attorney Sonny Matula of Labor Party Philippines completes Vice President Leni Robredo's senatorial lineup. President Duterte says he assumes full responsibility for the war on drugs amid the looming ICC probe. And the TNT takes Game 2 of the PBA Philippine Cup Finals. And those are the top stories of the hour. Join us later again at 2:15 in the afternoon as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on a Signal Play app. Register for a free account now, www.signalplay.com, and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Riza Diaz. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. We are One News.